Worth of the Individual Public Service Announcement. By James M., Derek B., and Will T. Henry enjoyed newspapers but had mixed feelings about how the journalistic trumpery of national and international affairs distracted him from his daily attention to nature and literature. No Remedy for Love, 119-120. This is an example of the worth of the individual, because the excerpt is saying that Henry would rather read and explore nature rather than be caught up in the troubles of most people's day-to-day activities. I should not obtrude my affairs so much on the notice of my readers if very particular inquiries had not been made by my townsmen concerning my mode of life, which some would call impertinent, though they do not appear to me at all impertinent, but, considering the circumstances, very natural and pertinent. Walden, P2. This is an example, because Thoreau is saying that many are worried about his life, but he has really never cared what others thought anyway. To make such a man, such a Democrat, such a believer in human individual dignity, as Mark Twain himself, the frontier was necessary, Hannibal and the Mississippi and Virginia City, and reaching out from those the wilderness. The wilderness as opportunity and idea, the thing that has helped to make an American different from and, until we forget it in the roar of our industrial cities, more fortunate than other man. Stinner, P1. This is an example, because the author is saying that people need to forget about others' busy lives and focus on where we came from, nature. We are shut up in schools and college recitation rooms for 10 or 15 years and come out at last with a belly full of words and do not know a thing. No Remedy for Love, 122. This is an example, because the author is stating here that in school we learn very little about the real world, and people need to learn just that with nature on their own. Although various encounters provoked such critical observation from Henry, he liked to express his disappointment with humanity. 120. No Remedy for Love. This is an example, because this author is adding that even though not many listen, he still likes to complain about the state of the world, because it makes him feel better. I see young men, my townsmen, whose misfortune it is to have inherited farms, houses, barns, cattle, and farming tools, for these are more easily acquired than got rid of. Better if they had been born in the open pasture and suckled by a wolf, then they might have seen with clear eyes what fields they were called to labor in. Walden, P3. This is an example because Thoreau is stating that he pities people who have inherited means of work, instead of being free to do what they want. Just as surely as it has brought us increased comfort and more material goods, it has brought us spiritual losses, and it threatens now to become a Frankenstein. Stinner, P2. This is an example, because Stinner is saying that the growth of our civilization has resulted in some great advances, but along the way, we have lost a little of who we truly are. I hoped I learned something from looking a long way, from looking up, from being much alone. Stinner, P3. This is an example, because the author is adding that he has not thought as big as others, so he can think more and learn more. Back home, he devoured the narrow-columned pages of Horace Greeley's influential Whig weekly, the New York Tribune, and they felt cheapened by association with its alarums and excursions. 120. No Remedy for Love. This is an example, because the author is saying that Henry loves to read almost anything, but does not really agree with what some of it says. They can look 200 miles, clear into Colorado, and looking down over the cliffs and canyons of the San Rafael Swell and the Robber's Roost, they can also look as deeply into themselves as anywhere I know. Stinner, P3. This is an example, because the author is stating that he loves looking over beautiful cliffs, and while doing so, loves to learn more about himself.